All right, is it going? I believe it's going. I believe it's going. I believe it's working. All right. All right. Good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. Hello, it is I, your host, Bogo Kiddo. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Here, let's switch over here. Yes, indeed. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. So I'm a cisgendered guy. I'm a cisgendered dude. But I'm pretty down with it. I'm pretty okay with stuff. I've had exposure to gay people for a long time, and they're my friends, and they're great. They're cool. I recognize all their contributions. Normally, I wouldn't make a big deal of this, right? I would just make a pretty building, and that would be it, right? That's my statement saying I'm in support. But of late, it seems that Nazis are particularly targeting the non-straight segment of the population. Why would the Nazis do this? It's a question that kind of answers itself. Why would Nazis go after gay people and bisexual people and trans people? Why would Nazis do that? Because they're fucking Nazis. That's what Nazis do. So yeah, I feel now I have to come out in real strong support of gay people. I have to. It's not my fault. It's because the Nazis have been so fucking loud with their hate that, all right, fine. I have to match your energy now. Great. So hell yeah, gay people are awesome. Gay people are fantastic. I'm sure gay sex is great. I'm sure it is. It must be. I mean, humans have been like experimenting with this vessel for like thousands and thousands of years, right? If they found something and then keep doing it, there must be something there. Right? You don't have to be gay. It's so funny. So yeah, gay people are fine, right? They're great. They're awesome. I have got no problem with gay people. I recognize how many amazing contributions gay people and homosexuals and lesbians have made to our society. Like, they're fantastic people. Do you know that there was a guy? Oh man, I can't remember his name. He was an English guy, and he like solved the Nazi Enigma machine. He solved it. He was like a genius. He was the guy. He was an English guy in England. He was a code breaker. He broke the Nazi Enigma machine. The Nazis had this machine that a super crazy machine called the Enigma machine that they would use to encode their messages in unbreakable code so they can transmit. This is before. So you have to understand, in World War II, we didn't have encryption, we did have encryption, but it wasn't like it is now. Encryption was like coding your messages that you send over open channels. Like, I mean, I guess you're kind of doing it now anyways, but still. Yeah, you have to, and the way you encode it was just like a silly code, right? I mean, there's all sorts of little silly ways you can encode things. But the Nazis used this thing called the Enigma machine, which was, supposedly an unbreakable machine. Well, this guy, I'm going to go look up his name because he's so awesome. The guy who broke the Enigma machine. Man who solved Enigma machine. Alan Turing. That guy, Alan Turing, solved the Enigma machine and cracked the Nazi code. and was able to decode all the Nazi messages. Nazis didn't know this, so Nazis kept sending their messages like like they thought that they're invisible. But Alan Turing was so smart that he broke their machine and decoded all their messages, which helped out the Allies greatly in their attack against in their defense against the Nazis. And and what did England do? What did England do for this great hero who saved like thousands and thousands and thousands of English lives? Think of how many English people he saved by breaking the Nazi machine. The Nazis were bombing England every fucking day. London every fucking day. Bombing the city. Not, you know how like Kyiv is getting bombed, but they have anti-missiles that stop most of them? Well, they didn't have that back then. So Nazis would fly over London and just drop bombs on people's houses and fucking kill them. Every day. And Alan Turing solved the Enigma machine to break the Nazi code and get all their messages so that the Allies could defeat the Nazis. The Nazis would stop bombing people in London. How many innocent people did Alan Turing save? And so what did England do to reward him? They fucking castrated him. They did chemical castration. They found out he was gay, and they did chemical castration. And he fucking killed himself after that. Alan Turing, great guy, saved so many lives by defeating the Nazis. And what happened? A bunch of Nazis castrated him, chemically castrated him. So yeah, anyways, many great contributions, and they don't get recognized. They don't get rewarded. They get nothing for it. They get ostracized by Nazis. You realize that gay people were amongst the people killed in the Holocaust, right? You understand that Nazis rounded up gay people in Germany and killed them. You understand that, right? To hate gay people is to be a Nazi. Just to be clear. History is great. It's fantastic. It helps to know what other human beings have gone through in the past. It helps to know how things have changed. Like, I'm not making this shit up. It really happened. It really happened. So how many gay people are going to want to help the Allies defeat the Nazis next time if their heroes are going to get castrated and killed? Like, as a cisgender dude, it's in my best interest to make sure that every single person is free to be who they are, so that the next time the Nazis come back, they will help me defeat them. It's in my best interest as a straight cisgender dude. It's in my best interest to make sure that gay people feel safe, that trans people feel safe and are protected. It's in my best interest. Like, sure, it's in their best interests, but it's also in my best interests. Like, I'll be fucking selfish as possible and say it's in my best interest to make sure that they are well protected and they can be themselves. Not because it's good for them, but because it's good for me. I'll be as selfish as I can possibly be. And it's still in my best interest to help gay people. And that idea, that kind of thinking, extends outward really, really far. It's my best interest to make sure that black people feel safe and comfortable in this country. It's in my best interest. Sure, it's in their best interest too, but mine too. To be as selfish as possible, it's in my best interests. for them to be as safe and as secure as possible, to be as successful as possible. My best interest. Hispanics, Latinos, it's in my best interest that they do as well as possible, that they are as comfortable as possible. It's in my best interest that we can communicate as effectively as possible. I don't care what language. I don't care how pure the English is that they use or I use or how broken my Spanish is. I'll keep trying, right? Communication. Communication's key. That's the most... It's in my best interest. So yeah, here let's review some of the things that I've done here. All right. I kind of made that more of a thing. It was like kind of weirdly attached to this, and I made it more like an independent. Go Ukraine, support Ukraine. Send F-16s and long range artillery. Okay. I revised this train line. It was taking too long to go to the station or the training hall. So I revised it. I put guardrails there so any monsters out there can't get to the rails while you're riding. And then this is such a cool thing. This is a feature of the texture pack I'm using called Rethinking Voxels. I'm using beta 18D because I can't get the newest alpha to work, but that's okay. It looks so cool. Look at these shadows, man. Look at these shadows. They look so great. And monsters aren't gonna spawn here because like they're technically like there's technically enough light. But yeah, the shadows look amazing. I love these shadows. I like the interplay between light and dark. And then I changed the I put a curve into the rail system or into the rail because the curve is a lot shorter than going that long ass right angle way. So I put a little diagonal curve in there and a station. And of course, I carpeted I gave sky access back to the people on the bottom. I at first I covered it up because of the frames per second, and it still kind of sucks, the frames per second. I might need to cover up like one layer because it feels rough right here. Maybe I cover up those guys so I can't see them. And that's okay. I'll just extend the carpet. Two layers. Let's go two. It's a little better. I just don't think there's any helping it. I've got too many guys on the screen at once. I need to hide some off the screen. Yeah, didn't think that through, did you? Well, I thought my machine could handle it, really. And like it's like maybe it could without OBS running, but OBS is going. And let me look at my yeah, I'm peaked. Actually, I'm not peaked because I was tabbed out on something else, but anyways, okay. So this is like where I spent a lot of time doing this. This is pretty nice, right? No, the mountain out there and everything. Okay. And then I got this bridge working so that it's like you don't have to do something funky to use it. Now it's just you can just straight on use it. No curve in there. Just use it. Whoa. Trading hall. Okay. I added an elevator to the mob farm, just because I was tired of using the scaffolding, and it looked bad. Scaffolding looked bad. I can't keep up with this melon farm. It's going too fast for me. I can't do it. You see what I mean? I can't keep up. It's insane how much this makes. Like, I'm done. I have to like turn off the machine because it's going too fast. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. I have to like figure out a way to make it not go so fast. And I don't think, maybe if I replace everything with pumpkins, because it's the melons that are killing me. The melon slices. See what I mean? I can't keep up. There's just too many. And it's already full. Like, the machine is full. I can't keep up. Alright, anyways. It's amazing. It just goes too fast. Okay. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I moved the nether portal. Whoa. But I kind of lost my nether roof. I lost my old nether base and then I lost the link to the roof. So now I'm down on the bottom, which kind of sucks, but you know, that's where I am. So I make the best of it. And then I made a train line to the end. And then this train line goes to the nether fortress. So here, let's check it out. Oh, I should have brought a shield. Oh well. So yeah, typical, right? I used to go up there, and now I go down here. Because I messed up everything. And there's all the blazes I can't seem to kill. They're right below me. And I need them to be in this spot right here so I can kill them. But they never go here anymore. So it's like, I have to remake this blaze farm so that it actually works. Oh, ow. Alright, so I took a bunch of time to do that. That time I fell and almost died. Wearing my netherite gear, right? Isn't that terrible? It just took me forever to make this netherite gear. It took me forever. And I almost fell into the lava. Which would have made me very sad. I would not have made netherite gear again because it takes way too long. And now they want to make it take longer. So, like, it's okay if you have a big chunk of nether waste near your base. I'm surrounded by this crap here. Like, there's nothing good that comes out of this stuff. Oh yeah, and this one goes to the end. And each of these tunnels, each of these lines to build, was like a real big adventure. Yeah, this is why it's so hard for me to get down, because I basically live I'm over a lava lake. Hey, is that another? Or is that the same one? That's the same one. No, I don't know. But this goes to the end. Well, no, it goes to the stronghold. Which leads to the end. But you see, I need like 12 ender eyes, which I have. I have them. I can go do it anytime I want. I can go go to the end. I haven't checked out all the dungeon yet, but most of it I did. And I found a lot of books. Hey, check this out. I can show you this. this way. Actually, I don't know where it is, so I forgot how it is. But there's like a library, like right around here. And of course, if you want to mess with it, there's the deep dark. I should grab that skulk sensor. It's all by its lonesomes. Ha 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 ha. Ah ha ha. Okay, anyways, yes. So I will be using this to go attack the end pretty soon. And it burned. No, that's the wrong song. Yeah. Burning Ring of Fire? No. Isn't there a song? Yeah. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. That ring of fire. 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 Ah. Ah. Alright, enough of that. What is this? Sunday morning karaoke? Shut up. People are trying to sleep. People trying to enjoy their Sunday morning, dude. Shut up. Sorry. So yeah, building all of that, you would not believe how much. I mean, okay, it took some time, right? But you want to be, if I want to be real, what took me all my time, what's been consuming everything about my life, has been this machine that I upgraded, and I've been trying to find the correct settings, and oh my god, every time I fail, it crashes. And when I'm playing Minecraft and it crashes, if I'm holding something in my inventory, whatever I recently transferred to my inventory gets deleted. It doesn't matter what it is, it just gets deleted, and it sucks because I lose important stuff that way. So it's been a struggle trying to find the balance between like how much power I can give the video card without overheating it. I mean, how little power I can give the video card, because it's going to overheat if I give it as much power as it'll take as much power as I give it, and the more I give it, the hotter it gets, and the hotter it gets, the faster it runs. But there's diminishing returns. So it's a struggle to find the balance where it runs fast enough that I get enough performance to do everything I need to do, but not so fast that it generates too much heat and noise. So it's all sorts of experimentation. Anyways, but the end result is I really enjoy my machine, and I get to build great things with it. And I want to encourage other people to play Minecraft with me and build stuff so I can show it off with my great machine, right? Like my machine makes not only my stuff look good, but your stuff look good. And yeah, let's go back to the I don't know. I hang out here all the time. I'm still working on the Warded Grove. I need to look at a pagoda so I can see. It's different to make something that's real than it is to make something that's not real, that you're just imagining. Because if it's imagining, you never get it wrong. You're just imagining it. But a pagoda is a real thing. So, like, you like there's a model you can follow. It's not just imagination. There's a model. So yeah, okay. Here, let's talk about stuff, right? I don't have a whole bunch of stuff. I have to admit. This week I've been so busy with this, trying to get this to not crash, that it's been rough. First thing is I want to go back east. I want to look east, southeast. Did you know that Georgia was one of the last states to come back into the Union? Like, the Republican Congress had to do a whole bunch of stuff in order to stop the Confederacy from reforming, because it wanted to reform after it was destroyed. It just wanted, and so when Georgia elected black legislators, the white legislators and the white mob basically said, no, you can't come in, and we're kicking you out. And then so the Republican Congress had to pass a law saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And yeah. And it took a long time for Georgia to finally be readmitted into the Union because of white supremacy was so strong there. And I feel now that we've come back to that point again, that Donald Trump has summoned and unleashed the worst instincts in people. Like, people feel comfortable to be bad now. People feel comfortable to be racist. People feel comfortable to be homophobic. People feel comfortable to be a Nazi now. And that's not what you want. When people feel comfortable to be a Nazi, everyone else feels uncomfortable. Then my gay friends become uncomfortable. If Nazis are comfortable, my gay friends become uncomfortable. If Nazis are comfortable, my black friends become uncomfortable. If Nazis are comfortable, my Hispanic friends and Latino friends become uncomfortable. Like, my indigenous friends become uncomfortable. Nazis are shit people. You don't want them anywhere near you, and you don't want them to feel comfortable. But Donald Trump allows them to feel comfortable. And so I feel like bad stuff has been going on. I could be wrong, right? Maybe this is just another side effect of the internet. I would not have even known about this had it not been for the internet. I'm not hearing about this on mainstream television like ABC News. And I don't pick up my local paper and read about what's happening in Atlanta, Georgia. Like, I'm not going to turn on Fox News and have them tell me about what's happening in Atlanta, Georgia. No way, dude. No way. I would never know about this if not for the internet. If not for the internet. And so, what happened in Georgia? So, in Georgia, oops, not this one. Yeah. Well, in Georgia, there's a patch of forest. It's just natural, right? Nature. It's just nature. Patch of forest outside of Atlanta. And the cops want to bulldoze this forest and build a fake city, not a real city, but they want to build like buildings and stuff like that. But no one's going to actually live there. Instead, they're going to use it like a big what are those? What do they call those? Paintball like gun arenas. They want to make a paintball arena. They want to bulldoze the forest and build a fake city to do paintball wars in there, pretending bad guys, good guys, right? So they can train in an urban environment. But what are they training against? They would be training against, like, basically people who live in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia. So they're literally bulldozing a city to make a fake city, not to help the people of Georgia, but to train how to attack them. So naturally, people are against this. They oppose this. Why are you spending money to better kill us? That's like a stupid waste of money. Not only are you spending millions of dollars to build a fake city, not to help people, but to better train to kill us, but you're bulldozing a forest and taking away our eco diversity by doing this. Why would you be doing this? What's even the point? So naturally, there's a protest, and the protesters occupied the forest where the cops want to bulldoze, so they can build a fake city to blow up, to train to kill people. So cops want to bulldoze the forest to build a fake city to train to kill people. So protesters occupied the forest. Well, cops didn't like that. So cops went in there and they murdered one of the protesters named Tortuga. They murdered him. They lied. They said, oh, he had a gun and he shot us first. They lied because cops lie, right? They always lie. Whenever it suits them, they will lie. Cops lie. So cops lied about this, right? And they said, oh yeah, he had a gun, he shot it at us, and then after he shot at us, we shot him. So that's how they justified it. And after that, after they murdered the guy in the tent, then they said, anyone with mud on your shoes, now you're a terrorist. What? Cops murder a dude in the forest, and then they say anyone with mud on their shoes other than cops is a terrorist. Wait a minute. Who's the people who just murdered someone in the forest? And now you're saying everyone associated with that guy that just got murdered is a terrorist now? Wait a minute. That sounds kind of fucking Nazi. That sounds white supremacist. That sounds Nazi. But that's exactly what happened. A total of 42 participants in the Stop Cop City struggle now face state domestic terror charges, as 19 individuals were previously hit with the same charges in the last 2 months on equally weak grounds. At the end of January, during a multi-agency police raid on the forest encampment, cops shot dead 26-year-old Manuel Tortuguita Terán, marking a grim escalation in repression against a movement that has shown impressive resilience in its 2 years of mobilizing against Cop City. Now, on the most tenuous claims of vicarious liability, multiple forest defenders face up to 35 years in prison if found guilty of domestic terrorism. Remember, the cops were the ones who murdered this guy. The cops murdered this guy and lied about it. And they're charging everyone associated with him with domestic terrorism because the cops murdered him. The cop. That's like you know that killer Dylan White. He like busted into a church and murdered a bunch of black people in the church. That's like charging everyone in the church with a hate crime because Dylan White went in there and murdered everyone. It's the same thing. What they're doing. It's as if the cops are acting as if they were charging everyone in the church with a hate crime because Dylan White went in there and murdered all of them. It's the same thing. Cops are literally Nazis. Do you see what I mean? They're basically forgiving themselves and blaming the people they attacked. So it's like Dylan White, or not. I don't know if that's his name, but that murderer dude who went into a church, a black church, and murdered a bunch of black people in the church. It's as if he was. It would be as if he would be saying, "Oh, I'm going to charge all of you with hate crime against me because I went in there to murder you." It's the same thing. These cops are literally Nazis. Literally Nazis. Okay, I can't say literally because literal Nazis are from Germany. They were Nazi regalia, right? So no, metaphorically they're Nazis. In spirit. I keep saying literally, but I mean like I don't know how to say like in the flesh. Actual. That's a better word. Actual. Because they may not have the trappings of literal Nazis. They may not hail from Germany, but the Geist, the spirit, is the same. It's fascism. It's fascism. The same Geist, the same spirit. So I keep saying literally, but I'm not trying. I shouldn't say literally. Actually is better. It's the actualization of the spirit of fascism. They're the actualization of the spirit of fascism. The the same dude who was the actualization of white supremacy by going into a church and murdering church people, these cops are the actualization of white supremacy, are the actualization of fascism, the actualization of the same spirit that was the actualization of Nazism. So it's the same source. Okay, it's collective punishment. The police are trying to establish a de facto norm that anyone who associates with the political movement will be attacked and charged for the actions of any other supporter of the movement. That's the thing, right? Even though Dan Manuel Terán had no weapon, right? He had no gun. He was shot through the hands. He had his hands up and the police shot through them. Even though that was the case, the truth, police lied and said that he shot first, and since that he shot first, they can charge everyone else with domestic terrorism. That's what the police are trying to do. That's exactly what they're trying to do. The police lied, said that Manuel had a gun when he did not. But they said he had a gun, which justified their murder of him. And they said then furthermore, because they lied and said he had a gun, everyone near him or associated in the same movement to stop Cop City is also a domestic terrorist with a weapon to use against to try to murder cops. That never happened. They fucking lied about the whole thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. You have to understand. It was not real. Activist hands raised when shot by troopers near training ground center. Joseph Joseph Papp in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And this one, Cop City, that one was by Natasha Leonard. And this one is by Caitlin Radi. Autopsy reveals anti-Cop City's activists' hands were raised when shot and killed. Both Manuel's left and right hands show exit wounds in both palms. The autopsy further revealed that Manuel is most probably seated cross-legged when killed. So the cops, in order to attack the whole movement, the cops planted a story that Manuel had a gun and was a terrorist. And since he was a terrorist, everyone else associated him was a terrorist too, by association. Well, let's flip it around, right? These cops lied about this gun, and then they tried to use their state authority to attack innocent people. That makes them state terrorists. The Atlanta police are state terrorists. That's who they are. But then if that's not really a surprise, I'm not saying anything special. I'm not saying anything new. The slave patrols were always terrorist organizations. That's what they fundamentally are, terrorist organizations. That's why when they say defund the police, they really mean defund the police, because you're not going to eliminate the vestiges of the Confederacy until you do. The police are literal institutions of the slave patrol. That's where they originated from. And look, they are literally state terrorists. Truly, literally state terrorists. Like the narrative they tried to project onto the forest defenders is actually what they are. They're actually terrorists. They went in with guns to murder people, and then they used state oppression to try to silence the whole group with their own crime. By projecting onto them their own crime, the police's own crime. They're literally a vestige of the Confederacy. Ugh. And they murdered a guy and lied about it. They shot him through his fucking hands, and they lied about it. They said, oh, he had the gun, and he shot first. Nah, it was the cops that just straight up murdered the dude. So while getting shot, was able to raise their hands and arms up. So he's like, pop, ah, bah, 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 ah. They kept hitting him. And then they lied and said he had the gun. And then they say, oh, you guys are terrorists. When actually, the whole police are terrorists. They use violence. They're actual terrorists. Actual terrorists. The police are actual terrorists. Do you see? I'm trying to be like, do you see like how the language reflects back on them? Words are really great. Words are really powerful. Words are very powerful. You have to understand the power of language. I mean, when like there's a reason why God told Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. Because words are powerful. When Homo sapiens, or not Homo sapiens, when Homo erectus took the fiery flower, the glowing flower, when they took it and put food on it, and the nuts that were left afterwards, you know, fire went through, and the nuts that were on the ground were still there. And then so Homo erectus took the nut that the fire had run over and ate it, and it was good. It tasted better, and it was easy. It didn't like normally to eat a raw nut, you'd have to use massive jaw to grind down and break the nut. But now that the fire went over the nut, it was easy to eat. And then they learned there was an animal that got the fire went over. This animal couldn't run away. Fire went over it. The Homo erectus went over to the animal and could eat the animal and not get sick, and it tasted good. Oh, and so now this ginormous gut that Homo erectus needed to digest raw nuts and vegetables or food, you didn't need it. You didn't need this ginormous fucking huge gut anymore. You could shrink down your gut if the fire does the work. You know this big jaw that you have to grind down the nuts in order to like eat anything? You don't need it anymore if the fire is going to do the work of making the food soft enough. So your gut shrinks and your jaw becomes smaller. Well, when your jaw becomes smaller, there's more room up here. There's just more room because now not only is it easier to eat food, but you're getting more stuff out of more stuff out of the food that you eat. The fire does things to the food so that you're able to get more energy out of it, and now your brain's starting to grow more. Now that your jaw shrunk and your brain is growing more, the Homo erectus can start using like memory to remember and can start using their mouth to make sounds. Rah, rah, rah. Like other animals can't make these sounds. They can try, but not. They're like, They can't. The parrot gets close. Parrot gets really close, but like I don't know any other animals. I mean, birds can sing pretty cool that we can't do, but like yeah. Anyways, speech. Humans start developing speech. Because and what is speech? The power of the word is profound. By my capacity in order to take an idea inside of me and then give it to you through instantaneously through like just moving my mouth and my breath. That's amazing. Language is amazing. It's amazing. Some people say that language is a virus, is an alien virus. I don't know. But language is amazing. So it allows humans to do so much and do so much. So it matters greatly how you use language, how you use the word, because words have power. The state police know this and use the word in a bad way. They purposely defiled the word on purpose. The state police, on purpose defiled the word and used it to not to put out the truth, but used it to hide the truth, used it to gain power over this other group. They used the word to gain power over this other group. That's how powerful is the word. So it's very important that we understand that when I say that the state police, that the Atlanta police are a terrorist organization, I really mean it. It really means something. I'm not just saying it. It means something. They literally are terrorists, and it's a history of terrorism. It's history. It's not just a one-off thing. It's not just a and when even that saying one bad apple destroys the whole batch. Come on. Don't you know, right? For real, one bad apple destroys the whole batch. You don't know that? If you have, they used to keep apples in barrels, and you had to transport them, but you had to be real careful to check, make sure that none of the apples were bad, because if somehow there was a bad apple inside the barrel during transport, that bad apple, because it was bad, would rot out all the other apples in the barrel. So by the time you get to the next to the port and you go to offload your shit and I want to sell these apples, and you crack open your barrel and you dump them out, they're all rotten. And they're like, I'm not gonna fucking buy your shit. So you sailed across the fucking ocean to deliver a bunch of rotten apples that no one wanted. No, that's shitty. Check your shit so there's no bad apples. You want 0 bad apples, because one rotten apple destroys the whole batch. So these cops are using the word in a way that's not congruent with the truth. They're lying. They're fucking lying. See? According to the GIB, which is investigating the incident, Georgia State Troopers, it doesn't matter if I move it like there. I need to move it over here. According to the GIB, which is investigating the incident, Georgia troopers conducting a January 18th clearing operation near the training center came across Tehran and other activists camped in the woods. Authorities lied and said Tehran shot first without warning, wounding a trooper before several of injured officers' colleagues returned fire. So they lied. They created this whole thing. They lied and said that Manuel shot first, hit one of the troopers. All the other troopers saw the troopers got shot and then returned fire. But and then they said, oh, now everyone associated with him is a terrorist. But that's not the fucking truth. That's a lie. They're lying. They're liars. Why would you believe anything they're saying? They're fucking lying. They're lying. The liars. What did they do? What happened? They came across the dude. They fucking shot him up. One guy shot. And when they shot, one cop shot first. And then that made all the other cops shoot at the same time. Manuel put up his hands because they were empty because he had no weapons, and they shot him and they killed him. In the exchange of gunfires, one of the cops shot another cop. And then they want to blame the forest defenders for the cops' ineptitude. Incompetence. They want to blame the forest defenders for the cops' incompetence by charging them with terrorism. These cops are evil. Do you see how evil they are? They're literally evil. Actually evil? I don't say actually evil. They're actually evil. Actually evil. They actualize the spirit of evilness. That's okay, and then another time, right? So wait, it doesn't end there, right? It doesn't end there. Not only did the cops murder someone, then the cops shot one of their own people. Then they blamed the guy they murdered for doing it when they shot him through his fucking empty hands. Then they charge everyone associated with him who had mud on their shoes. Like, they can't prove that he was even associated with them. They can't even prove it. All they can point to is mud on shoes. That's it. They literally murdered somebody in the forest, and they're blaming everyone else because they have mud on their shoes. So there's a pretty big hint that these cops are evil, right? Pretty big hint. But then it goes further. Natasha Leonard, she's pretty good at keeping tabs on this. Atlanta police arrest organizers of bail fund for Cop City protesters. Part of a brutal crackdown on dissent against the police training facility. The SWAT raid and charges against the protest bail funds are unprecedented. So, okay, right? So, first of all, cops murder an unarmed dude through his hands in the forest. They lie about it, charge everybody with domestic terrorism, and then fucking throw them in jail. Okay, great. So there's these funds all over the country. There's these bail funds. They have them in Portland. They have them all over the place, right? They're not a new thing. They're a regular thing. They're a regular thing. Bail funds, dude. How you get people out of jail. Now, the cops did a SWAT raid. Not just a regular, arrest you, but they sent a fucking SWAT team against people for what? for a financial thing? For financial charge? You send a SWAT team for a financial charge? Since when? Did you send a SWAT team to arrest any of the January 6th protesters? No, you did not. But January 6th protesters, they're actually violent people who actually tried to overthrow the government. They're actually traitors. Why didn't you send the SWAT team to get them? But you sent the SWAT team to get these people for financial crimes, non-violent, that you can't even prove. You're just making up these crimes. You're just making this shit up, and you sent the SWAT team? What are you doing here? Terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism. What am I telling you? These guys are terrorists. The police are literally terrorists. They send the SWAT team not because it's necessary, but because they're fucking terrorists. They want to terrorize their opponents. It's not because these people were armed and dangerous, not because they have a history of violence, not because the crimes against them that they're charged with were violent crimes. No, they just to fucking terrorize them. That's the only reason why. So that's why you got to understand the Confederacy is alive in Georgia. The Confederacy is living in Georgia, and it's embodied in the law enforcement. It's embodied in the law enforcement. It literally terrorizes the people of Georgia, the citizens of Georgia, the free citizens of Georgia. It will protect the Confederates of Georgia, but it will attack the Union people of Georgia. So, police department SWAT team raided a house in Atlanta and arrested 3 of its residents. Their crime? Organizing legal support and bail funds for protesters and activists who have faced indiscriminate arrest and overreaching charges in the struggle to stop the construction of a vast police training facility dubbed Cop City atop a forest in Atlanta. In a joint operation with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, or GBI, Atlanta cops charged Marlon Scott Cots, Adele McLean and Savannah Patterson, all board members of the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, with money laundering and charity fraud. The arrests are an unprecedented attack on bail funds and legal support organizations, a long-standing facet of social justice movements, according to Lauren Reagan, executive director of the Civil Liberties Defense Center. This is the first bail fund to be attacked in this way, Reagan, whose organization has worked to ensure legal support for people resisting Cop City, told me. And there is absolutely not a scintilla of fact or evidence that anything illegal has ever transpired with regard to Atlanta fundraising for bail support. It's entirely there to fucking terrorize people. That's the only reason why you would send the SWAT team against a financial fucking for financial charges. It's the only reason why you would do it. A more detailed arrest warrant for Patterson notes that the alleged money laundering charges relates to reimbursements made from the nonprofit to Patterson's personal PayPal account for minor expenses, including gasoline, forest cleanups, totes, COVID rapid tests, media yard signs, and other miscellaneous expenses. Targeting organizations with a militarized SWAT raid based on such expenditures only clarifies the desperation of law enforcement agencies in going after the movement. I mean, come on. It's like That's like sending the SWAT team after a kid who stole a candy bar. Maybe, right? Maybe. The kid paid for it, dude. What are you even talking about? And you send the SWAT team for him? Holy shit. So you got to understand, when people say that the Confederacy is alive and well, they're not like just talking shit. They're not just making things up. They're not speaking in hyperbole. They're not exaggerating. It really is. It really is alive and well. It really is. And it's a cancer on society. It sucks out energy from society. Like, for the cost of Cop City, they could refurbish one of the buildings in downtown Atlanta and house homeless people. Ta-da! Actual good for the society. You actualize goodness for humanity. Do you see the difference? I mean, there's like, you can only have two sources of actualization. You only have so much energy. You can either use that energy to tear down a forest to build a fake city for cops to train how to better kill citizens, or you could use that money to refurbish a project you probably already have and house homeless people and get them off the street, lessening the burden on the people taking care of the weakest members of society and strengthening your overall society. The choice is super, super clear. But the thing that blinds a certain segment of society is the white supremacy. It's the contradiction they can never get past, internal contradiction, lest they be destroyed. White supremacists can never allow such a thing that I describe, because it might go to the quote wrong people. What they mean is, like, minorities they don't like, and so they would rather have white people suffer than have any black people or non-preferred minority gain any benefit. So yeah, a lot of white people suffer. In fact, the majority of pain falls on white people because the majority of people are white. So they would deny their own people benefit in order to hurt the other side. That's evil. But yeah, it's an organized thing. I mean, when they say defund the police, it's because the police are a vestige of the Confederacy. More coffee, which I made ahead of time. Because I was smart this time. All right. All right. What's up here? What's next? Okay, for me, not thee. By one vote, North Dakota Senate rejects free school lunches for low-income kids. Opponents are providing free school lunches to low-income children said the responsibility to feed students should fall on parents. Right? Fuck those low-income kids. That's what the GOP is saying. That's what the North Dakota GOP is saying. Like, it's not the responsibility of the state to feed the poorest our children. It's not. So the North Dakota Republicans say that it's not the responsibility of the state to ensure that its children, the future, are well fed. Why? Why would they say that? Because remember what I said before. For white supremacists, they would rather hurt their own people than give any benefit to people they feel don't deserve it. And for white supremacists, poor people don't deserve it. For white supremacists, feel that poverty is a moral issue, not a social economic issue. For white supremacy, poverty is a moral issue. I don't think it's even white supremacy. I think it's like a Protestant thing. Like it's like the gospel of wealth, that no one knows who's going to go to heaven, but you can get a hint about who's going to heaven by how well you do in material wealth. So the better you do materially, the better are your chances of going to heaven. Like, what kind of fucked up thing is that? What kind of crazy thinking is that? Well, a lot of people think like that. So that ties in with white supremacy, in that they feel that poverty is a moral failing, that it's just a sign from God that you're not going to go to heaven when you die. That it's not their responsibility that you're poor, it's your responsibility that you're poor. And that rich people are rich because they just happen to be better by God. That's all. So what this actually comes down to in actual, like, real politic terms, because we understand that poverty is concentrated in minorities. So what this boils down to in real terms is that rich Republicans are stopping the state from feeding poor brown kids. I mean, poor white kids too, right? Because there's more poor white kids than anyone else, any other one. But still, poverty is concentrated on poor brown kids and poor black kids. So they're more interested in hurting the poor brown kids than they are in helping the poor white kids. Because the poor white kids are poor because they're, quote, quote, not good enough for God. According to their fucked up belief system. Right? Okay, now, well, wait. How do I have further proof of this, right? So North Dakota Republicans denied helping the state, helping feed poor brown kids. For me, not thee. And then they said North Dakota senators votes to boost their own meal reimbursements after rejecting free school lunch bill. 13 Republican senators voted to increase meal reimbursement for state employees after voting against a bill to expand free school lunches for low-income students. What? You telling me white rich Republicans voted for the state to feed them and then use that power to say that the state should not feed poor brown kids? Is that what you're telling me? Yes, that's what actually happened. That's what actually happened. I mean, like, I keep trying to tell you that the Republicans are white supremacy, the actualization of white supremacy. I want you to understand this. Like, the problem is that, like, a problem I have is I feel like a lot of people don't like me. I'm a villain. Like, I feel like I'm a villain, big time. And if I look at the numbers, I kind of am to the majority of white people. The majority of white people voted for Republicans. Majority of white males and a majority of white females voted Republican. And I am calling the Republican Party a white supremacist party trying to overthrow democracy. So there's a good chance the majority of white people I meet are my enemy. And I'm their enemy. I mean, like ideological enemy, right? I'm not going to do violence. They might do violence on me because in the past, that's what their party has done. And historically, that's what they represent. But I'm not going to do violence on them. I'll defend myself, but I'm not going to instigate. I'm not going to, like, start violence. No. I'll defend myself. Don't you fucking forget it. But I'm not going to, like, be violent toward other people. But these guys are like, you know, I don't know. But I just want you to see that they're literally evil. They're literally white supremacists actualizing evilness in our world. They're bringing into our material world the spirit of evil. Like, I'm calling Republicans evil. Yeah, dude. Yes, I am. Hey, JMDX. Hello. Good morning, sir. I don't know if you're still here. I kind of went off for a while. And I just saw your message there. Okay, so I'm going to keep going because I don't know if you're here. I'm going to keep going. Sorry I didn't see your message sooner. It's on the bottom. It should be on the top. But okay. For me, not thee. Yeah. Georgia sent SWAT team to arrest Atlanta Solidarity Fund organizer doing bail support for Stop Cop City protesters and has charged them with charity fraud and money laundering. Why? Because the Georgia state is controlled by white supremacists and they use terrorism. Hey, JMDX, I'm doing excellent this morning. Thank you. How are you doing? Me, I'm doing my laundry. I'm doing the American laundry, dirty laundry, like I do every Sunday morning. How you doing? How are you, JMDX? Thank you for joining my show. I appreciate it. I got a couple more things I want to talk about. Hey, do you want to talk about stuff? I want to see if I can get some like user or like audience interaction. How about a topic that you want to talk about? What's something that you've noticed? What's something that interests you, or something that you don't know about that you've been wondering about? Is there something that you're like, hey, some social thing that's been going on, something in the news that you don't know about, something in the world that's been happening? You're like, what's up with that? Is there anything? Is there, like, where are you? Are you American? Ah, isn't this nice? I like this bridge. It reminds me of, like, I don't know. It's just a nice bridge. It's a nice bridge, and part of me wants to take out this chunk. But it's natural. It was here. I don't want to break anything more than I have to. And then when I look at it from this direction, it looks like it looks better blended. Okay. If you don't watch news, that's cool. How about a social thing? How about something going on in the world? I don't know, anything. Are you curious about? I can keep talking about my stuff if you don't mind. Because I have two more things I want to talk about. At least two more things. Check out my sheep farm. Okay. I'm gonna sit up here on my rainbow sheep farm or wolf farm. The rainbow wolf farm. I like that. See, so the sheep get sheared, and then underneath runs a hopper minecart, which puts it up a water elevator over there, and it puts it into the water stream, and then it goes to the corresponding color. So I don't have to sort it; it will sort itself. Yay! Okay, I got a couple more things I want to talk about. So, yeah, right? Isn't it cool? Thanks. And then over here is an iron farm. It's the Wattles. It's the Wattles iron farm, and it's really good. I like this iron farm. It works pretty good. It's a little bit slower than the Bedrock one I had, but the Bedrock one I had was like three villages stacked on one. I only have one, and it was too much as it was. So one's fine. I don't need one. But yeah, okay. So I got my one more thing to talk about. Oh, two more things. So in Oregon, like, so in the United States, we have 50 states. So there's the federal government, right? That's like the government above. That's like over everybody, all over the whole country. That's like the EU, right? the United States federal government is like the EU. And then the next level down, you have states. Just like the EU, you have the EU, and then the next level down, you have individual states like Germany, France. Did Sweden join EU? I don't know. Ireland, Italy. Italy, like all those guys. I don't know everyone in EU, but the states, right? So we have the United States federal government, and then you go down and you have the individual states like Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, Arizona, stuff like that. Okay, so every state has its own government, right? Just like Germany has a representative that goes to the EU to talk to the EU. down here, it also has its state government, which is the German government, right? So we have, so the same thing in the United States. Every state has representatives it sends up to the federal government to talk up here. But down here, each state has its own state government. Like Germany has the German government. Oregon has the Oregon government. Right? Same thing, same thing. So just like Germany has its own like prime minister over everything, and its own like parliament, Oregon has its own like governor, which is like the president, and its own state legislature, which is like the parliament. Same thing, same idea. I mean, it's a little bit different, but same idea. Okay, so there's been a problem in the United States. Historically, there's a problem in the United States. Since the beginning, there are two separate ideas of the way the United States was going to go. One idea was going to go to expand freedom and liberty for all the humans. For all the humans. All humans, freedom and liberty and justice. All humans. The other idea was material wealth for the elite and slavery for everyone else. Those were the two ideas. And at first, they had to, in the beginning of the United States, they had to like join together in order to defeat the power England that was the oppressor at that time. They had to join together. And then after that, they turned around and they had to figure out, well, how do we get along? Because we have two different ideas. And I'm not just making this up, right? I'm not making it up. It's literally written into our Constitution, into our founding document. This contradiction, this not good union is literally written into our Constitution. The way I can say that is I can point to the 3/5 clause. In order for the Constitution to come together, remember there are two ideas. One idea was like, freedom, and the other idea was slavery. How do you get these two groups together in order to agree to a government that holds them both together? How do you do it? They had to compromise. And the way they compromised was with the 3/5 compromise. They agreed, the northern people agreed to compromise and say that an enslaved person was equal to 3/5 of a free person for terms of representation. They could not vote, but they still counted in terms of representation. That gave slave-holding states an advantage in the government. It gave them an advantage in the government. But it was the only way to make the country come together. There would not be a United States. We would have no United States if the North said no, we do not agree that an enslaved person counts as a human being, because they're not allowed to vote. Well, they didn't think like that. They might have had a different idea, but it doesn't matter. The truth of it was that it was a broken idea. It was broken. But and if they didn't compromise, we would never be here. If they didn't compromise, there would never be a United States. Because that's part of the original sin, right? Part of the original sin of the United States. It had to be done. It had to be done. It had to be accepted. Otherwise, there would not be a United States. So it happened, right? It happened. So now we have baked into the United States this contradiction of slavery. How can you say that you're for freedom when you have built into you slavery? How can you do that? It was built out of necessity because of all the pressure from everywhere else. You know how they did it? You know how? I would tell you how. Pressure. Under pressure. How do you make diamonds, dude? Great pressure. They don't want to hang out together. They don't want. Nobody becomes a diamond willingly. That's funny. You're under pressure, extreme pressure from everywhere. Extreme pressure from everywhere. That's what held them together. These guys don't want to be together. They're opposite. I guess I'm explaining nuclear like to myself. How do you get two opposite things together that don't want to be together? Fucking pressure. Magnetic waves. I don't know. Pressure. Mad pressure. So that's how you got these two opposite things to stick together long enough to make a government that formed to fight off everything else. But it was not stable. It was unstable. Fundamentally unstable. So it's fundamentally unstable. So if the pressure ever lets off, if the pressure that keeps it together ever lets off, it starts to fall apart. Naturally, right? Naturally. Because these guys don't want to be together. They don't want to be together. They're fundamentally opposite. The only thing that keeps them together is pressure. So it got to the point where, all right, War of 1812, you finally kicked out England long enough to like be okay. Now what? And a bunch of the Southerners and the frontiersmen wanted to expand westward and conquer. They literally wanted to conquer territory from the natives to expand their idea of white supremacy. And like England was trading. I'm reading this book. It's in my car. It's in my car because I that way I have it when I go out to the coffee shop to buy an expensive coffee or drink, to sit there and read this book. That's the only way I can get myself to read it anymore. Man, what's wrong with me? Okay, anyways, I'm reading this book by Heather Richardson, which is amazing. It's amazing how the South won the Civil War. And yeah, it's so great. It's so great. But it explains how we got to where we are now. Like, it's the history of how we got to where we are now. So we literally fought once the pressure was off, we literally fought a war. The North and South fought a war against each other because the two ideas are not compatible with each other. And sure, the North won militarily, but the South defeated the North through a coup. And then it expanded faster than the North into the West. And I'm still catching up on the West. I just got to the chapter on the West. So let me catch up on it. But what was happening, it was that Georgia was the last state to come back into the Union because it was so intent on holding on to its racist heritage. And now that spirit has been reincarnated. Now here in the West, Oregon was intended, when it was first founded, it was intended on being a whites-only state. I went to the historic graveyard down the street, down this commercial street, and one of the first hugest gravestones there is a guy from Kentucky. I don't know if Kentucky is necessarily a slave state. I don't know if it was slave back then. It's hella white supremacist now, but I don't know if it was back then. It was conquered from the they conquered it from the natives. The natives didn't want to leave, and a bunch of like white supremacists took it over anyways through violence. Anyways, it was a Kentucky guy who was buried there, and then I'm not so sure if he was a white supremacist or not. But there was a woman who was like a caretaker there. She's taking care of the graves, and she gave me literature. I need to read it. And I guess one of the big founders was a Freemason. Ooh, I need to check that out. I'm pretty sure Freemasonry was aligned with multiracial democracy. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was Freemasonry. So if Freemasonry aligned with multiracial democracy, it's interesting to have, because that's who the caretaker promoted, was the Freemason. And when I mentioned the governor, the first governor of Oregon, and his gravesite at the front, not appalled, but a shadow fell over her face. So I was like, and she pointed me to the Freemason one instead. So I certainly hope Freemasonry is aligned with multiracial democracy. But I do know that Oregon has a history that it was at first founded only to be white only, and only through struggle is it transforming to be progressive and multiracial democracy. But it's a struggle, and the thing is I tell you, Confederacy is not dead. Its spirit manifests and comes back into our world all the time. Look at its current incarnation in Oregon. Its current incarnation in Oregon is this. Public berates Oregon Republicans for walkout during their own accountability hearing. This guy is like KNOPP, K-N-O-P-P, loser. He's a loser. He's leading the walkout. So he's a white supremacist, right? He's a fascist. He does not believe in democracy. He's an enemy of democracy. When I say a reincarnation of Confederacy, this is what I'm talking about. This guy right here, reincarnation of the Confederates. He is an opponent of multiracial democracy. He is an opponent of democracy in general. He is not using the legislative process in order to enact his ideas. He is not making concessions to his constituents. He is not using the power of his words to change ideas and minds and hearts. No. Instead, he's using raw power to force the minority to stop anything from happening in the Oregon legislature. That's as if a minority Nazi party came in Germany, walked out and stopped the German government from conducting any kind of business. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's Oregon Republicans, same thing as Nazis, as white supremacists. Same thing. And you know what? That does that sound does that sound unifying? No, it doesn't. It's very divisive. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I am making a very fucking clear divide between me and white supremacy, between the Americans and white supremacy, between the United States and white supremacy. Very clear divide. I am dividing. That's the whole point. The whole point. I'm not trying to unify. I'm dividing. But I'm making a distinction between the organization which you can choose to belong to, the ideology which you can choose to belong to, and the individual who has a choice. You can choose to be a racist by belonging to these organizations, or you can choose to free your mind. And you can allow people to be who they are and turn inward and look at yourself and work on yourself and do the work that's necessary to see what it is that everyone else sees. Why is it that you can only see two genders, not you particularly, but in the white supremacists? Why is it that the white supremacists can only see two genders when everyone else can see a rainbow of colors? Why? Is it the fault of the people that can see the rainbow of colors, or is it the fault of the people who can only see two? Instead of trying to make the people who see multiple colors change what they see, why don't you try to see what they see? So maybe you can see the reality in greater depth. When I got a new monitor, I upgraded from 1080p to 1440p. Pretty cool, right? Much greater clarity. But this other great thing that I discovered was HDR. All it does is adds greater range of colors. And you would think, yeah, big deal, right? Until you do it. And when you do it, it's like, oh, my eyeballs feel so much more alive. And the world feels so much more rich. All the colors feel so much better. It just feels that's the thing. It's an experience. It's not something I can tell you. I can try to tell you, but I won't convey it. You have to experience it. Same thing with seeing multiple genders, multiple sexualities. Same thing. Like, I can tell a white supremacist about all the colors, right? But they're not going to get it until they do the work to see it for themselves. And there's nothing like a colorblind person has physics that prevent them from seeing the full range of colors. And I believe you can buy glasses which allow colorblind people to see the other colors. But there's no physical issue stopping a white supremacist from observing all the other colors of the sexuality and genders. There's nothing stopping them physically. It's all in their own minds. They have to do the work to see it for themselves. I can't do it for them. Allies can't do it for them. Friends can't do it for you. You gotta do it for yourself. What? All right. Oh. Run away. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Segway. Go to sleep. So, these Oregon Republicans have utterly given up on the idea of democracy. They have utterly given up. They are demoralized. I talked to a demoralized person the other day. They are demoralized. What does that mean? Demoralized, it means you give up on the idea of democracy and freedom. You give up. You give up, and you look into the nothing, and you fall in. That's what it means to become demoralized. And Oregon Republicans are all demoralized. They're agents of the nothing. Whereas we Americans see the multitude of colors and diversity, the rainbow of diversity. Oregon Republicans are white supremacists and can only see the nothing. In fact, they serve the nothing. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in democracy. They serve the nothing. They're going to try to destroy everything instead. Like when people get murdered by guns in the United States only, right? It only, like, the mass shootings only regularly occur in the United States. Oregon Republicans are the people that say nothing can be done because they give into the nothing. They accept mass murder. They accept it, right? They are demoralized. They have no agency anymore, except in service to the nothing. Oregon Republicans. $2 billion budget bump. Oregon GOP walkout stalls 2-year funding plan amid rosy revenue forecast. Oregon's income tax receipts are forecast to be significantly higher than expected, giving state lawmakers more room to negotiate over spending priorities. This is a good thing, right? That means Oregon can afford to give state workers the pay increase that state workers need in order to keep up with inflation. Inflation was 11%. Oregon has plenty of money to pay its state workers to keep up with inflation. All right? It's not like there's a problem, right? It's not like there's a budget problem that the Oregon GOP disagrees with. That's not their issue. There's plenty of money. Right? There's plenty of money. No. What is their issue? Let's look at their issues. Let's look. Salem, Oregon. Oregon's latest state revenue forecast far exceeded expectations Wednesday, giving lawmakers more money for a 2-year budget that's due in June. But a walkout by Senate Republicans has jeopardized the process, and they show no signs of planning to return to the chamber. Senate Democratic leaders who hold the majority in both the Senate and the House urged Republicans to end their boycott and take advantage of the additional money in the budget to help Oregonians. Help the people. Help the people. How many people in rural Oregon have been burned out of their whole house? Like, wasn't Turner or like Turner, like Oregon, like burned out of existence? Like, fucking people need help, dude. Oregon has all this money. Why don't you come back and let's help them out, Oregon Republicans? But no, Oregon Republicans would rather hurt their own people than give any benefit to people they feel don't deserve it. Because they're fascists. They are the embodiment of evil. Their organization. The humans are just agents, right? Humans are just agents. But the organization itself is the embodiment of evil. So this is an incredible opportunity. But if we're going to take advantage of it, be responsible stewards of our tax dollars and deliver the solutions Oregonians are counting on, every lawmaker needs to be doing their job, said Senate Majority Leader Kate Lever. The walkout began May 3rd with Republican Minority Leader Senator Tim Knopp, the loser dude. Remember loser dude? Loser. Wait, hold on. I want to show this guy. Loser. Open with Emacs. No Max. Loser. That's what he is. Loser. He's a loser. Tim Nope. Tim Nope, loser. Tim Nope, loser. The walkout began May 3rd with Republican Minority Leader Tim Nope complaining about Democrats' extreme bills, including a sweeping measure on abortion rights and gender-affirming care, and insisting that bill summaries be written in an 8th grade level. So in other words, he's complaining that the bills are too hard for him to read. He and other Republicans are also citing a long-forgotten 1979 readability law that a GOP Senate staffer discovered in the archives in April. They sent their fucking staffer to go digging through the archives to find a loophole that they can complain about. Oregon Republicans. Remember, when I say Oregon Republicans, I want you to think German Nazi Party messing up the German parliament from functioning. That's what I want you to think. Under a new constitutional amendment created after Oregon voters approved a ballot measure in November aimed at ending chronic walkouts, 3 Republicans and an independent party senator are disqualified from re-election because they accumulated 10 unexcused absences. 6 more Republicans, including Nope, will reach that 10-day mark on Thursday if they still fail to appear. So yeah, dudes, they are going to get kicked out of the Oregon Senate and Oregon legislature because the Oregon voters through initiative already passed a law saying if you did this, we're going to kick you out. But these Republicans have a plan. They know that Oregon voters want them to leave. They don't want them to do this shit. They know this. So Oregon Republicans are raising money off of this walkout in order to challenge the voter initiative, so that they can keep doing this in the future. In other words, they're raising money off of their walkout to challenge a court or to make a court challenge against a law that the majority of Oregons passed. The minority blocked the parliament from working, the legislature from working. Then the minority stopped the minority from working. Then the minority is going to stop the majority of voters from passing their law. They're literally Nazis trying to stop the majority from stop democracy from functioning. I can't get any clearer than that, dudes. It's your choice to belong to this party. You know, you don't have to belong to a Nazi party. You don't have to do it. You don't have to choose to be associate with white supremacists. That's entirely up to you. That's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. Because they're actually white supremacists. They're actually Nazis, American Nazis. They're actually white supremacists using state power to thwart democracy. Just as they're doing just the same thing they're doing in Atlanta. They're using state power to terrorize the people. That's what these Oregon Republicans would do had they state power. If these guys were not the minority and were instead the majority, they would use the state to use violence upon the citizens. You can look at what they do. Look at the way they act as a minority. Could you imagine if they were the majority? They would stomp on human rights. They don't care at all about human rights. Oregon Republicans are absolute losers. If they ever got power, they would be Nazis. Look what they're doing in Georgia. They're acting like Nazis. So, I want everyone to understand the stakes here. It keeps the peace. It's more harmful, right? There's the Japanese idea of the wa. You want to keep the harmony, but there comes a time when the wa, keeping the peace, is more harmful than exposing the wound and letting it and like all you do by keeping the peace is letting the abscess fester. That's all you're doing. You gotta lance that shit. You gotta cut that shit open and treat it. And it's gonna hurt, but you gotta do it because it's not gonna heal otherwise. The Confederacy is a festering wound in the United States, still here. It was not defeated in the Civil War. Americans need to understand this. That's why when we went through school, middle school, and high school, they didn't talk about the Civil War very much. They don't talk about Reconstruction very much. Because white supremacy is still embedded in the United States. We still have to deal with it. And how do I know that white supremacy is still embedded in the United States? Well, I look on one side of the country, and there's literally state terror. I look on the other side of the country, and the minority white supremacist party is literally thwarting democracy. 5 times, over 5 years, they've done it. It's not a one-time off thing. They've done it 5 times. They're literally enemies of the United States. Like, so I understand that I have like maybe a Russian audience that will use my words as propaganda to tell their own people how bad the United States is. But here's the thing. I can do this. I can talk shit about my country. I can talk shit about my leaders. I can say whatever I want. Can you do the same? Russia? Can any of you Russian people do the same? No way. You will be arrested by your own people. Your own people will turn you in. So go ahead, use my words. Show Russians how I, an American, can criticize my own government. Do that. I have that freedom. Go show your people. Because that will show them that free speech is a good thing. Hearing speech you don't want to hear is a good thing. It reveals things. Yeah, you have to fight demoralization. And the way you fight demoralization is by understanding the truth. You have to know the truth. Learn how you can be tricked. I want to show you how you can be tricked. Because, there are ways that the whole point of demoralization is to trick you. And to make you think that something that is not you is you. white supremacy wants you to feel that white supremacy is part of you, and that everything that happens to white supremacy happens to you too. But that's not true. You have to uncouple the link. You have to break the association, and it's hard for white people to do that because it's been ingrained in them from the beginning. So it's super hard, right? When you know why they say anti-woke? Because by taking the red pill, you wake up to the matrix of white supremacy. You wake up to the illusion, and you realize it's just an illusion. It's not real. It's just signals in the brain that you can override. Let me show you. Let me explain it to you. Here's another way of looking at it. Here's another way of doing it.
Oh, I have an experiment that we're going to do today. Is I'm going to train your brain to believe that this hand, this arm, is your arm. You see we've got this divider here? So right now you can kind of see your arm. You see the arm there? And I'm going to cover over part of your arm. Now I'm doing that because your eyes talk to your brain. And your eyes tell you this is what's happening. So now, can you physically see your arm, your right arm here?
No.
Great. So I'm going to take these two classroom rulers. So we're going to train the sensations. You feel the rulers touching your hands because it's now becoming one with your mind.
His hand is
right
his
hand is your right hand.
His hand.
You are believing that as I drag the ruler on your right hand there,
it totally
that it is
feels.
In fact, in your brain, your right hand.
It totally feels like my hand. That's crazy.
His hand is on the left.
Line up with each finger.
The hand in the middle is a fake hand. But
whoa, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah. So now if I just do like a little tap. Right?
Yeah.
Feel the knuckles. Feel each digit.
So, yeah, it's not real. It's not real.
Okay, this is where.
But he's being trained. You see, he's being trained to feel as if it's real.
Okay.
It's not real, but he's being trained as if it is. Now, he does it without the ruler. He does it without the ruler, with touching his real hand. He's only touching the fake hand with the ruler, but the guy in yellow feels as if it's real.
Oh my goodness!
He feels like it's really being touched because he sees it and he associates the fake hand with his real body. The fake hand is his real body.
Yeah.
That.
Whoa.
Your brain can be tricked into thinking something that's not you is you.
What?
Feel that?
Yeah.
I am not using the ruler.
Whoa. What do you... I mean, it's crazy. It's not... Oh!
Now watch.
Whoa,
watch.
Even like... Oh, no.
Now,
oh.
We're going to do a little
Watch his fingers. His fingers will move in reflex, but they're not being hit.
Retraining your brain.
Watch his fingers. His real fingers. Watch his real fingers.
That it's feeling it.
Okay.
So even if it gets a little, what would be considered painful, I will not be harming you because of course I'm not going to be actually hitting your right arm. But your brain really believes that this is in fact your right hand.
Oh,
right?
This is making me nervous.
All right, here we go. I'll start lightly. Feel that on the thumb.
Watch his thumb. His real fingers are moving in reflex, even though they're not actually being touched.
Whoa.
They're reacting as if they are touched. He's been trained so that even if he's not touched, he will react.
Wow, this is so strange.
You feel that?
Yeah. I want to move my hand, but it feels like I can't. What's that for?
What's that for?
Now again, I would never on purpose hurt you, right?
Okay.
And I would never take a hammer and bash your fingers to where they would hurt, right?
I hope not.
But again, your brain is going to tell you that you're going to feel this when in fact I'm not actually going to be causing any damage to your hand.
Okay.
Check it out.
Start lightly.
Watch.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Very lightly. Here we go.
Oh, it's so weird. Oh.
Oof. Oh, the infamous thumb when you're hammering. Oof.
Oh, look at his thumb move. Look at his thumb move.
Oh, you know, it feels like an electric shock. It's so strange.
Electric
shock. Even when I touch myself.
Yeah. Watch this. One
myself.
Watch this. You ready for this one?
Okay.
Guess which finger I'm gonna hit.
Okay.
Guess which finger. See if you can tell me which one it is.
Middle.
Ooh. Now again, I did not actually hurt you, did you? You didn't feel actual pain in your real hand. But for an instant, your brain told you that you were thinking that you felt a hammer hitting your hand.
My brain thought that this was my hand.
Yes. He even used his language. When his had a fake hand there, he said, when I touch myself. But it wasn't your hand, dude. You're not touching yourself. But his brain was so trained in it, he called the fake hand himself. The power. Like, it's amazing. So, think of socialization, right? Socialization is the process by which humans learn to become social creatures in their environment. People will be socialized differently according to the environment and, according to the culture. You'll be socialized different, but like, you have no idea how to act socially. It has to be all taught to you. And it's a process of it's a long process. And so that's part of the reason why we have compulsory education. One of the benefits of compulsory education is that it helps socialize the children to become adults, become good American citizens. That's what you want to do. You want to socialize them into to gain good social habits, if you will, and good social ideas and such. All right. And so you train them. Like, part of doing the Pledge of Allegiance thing was to train a sense of identity, a sense of national character. That's why we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and and so that's what education is, over and over and over again. But not just education. All of society will subtly trains people to behave in a certain way. That's why everyone turns around in an elevator. That's why when someone extends their hand, you extend yours and shake it. It's because you've been trained for certain social cues to be a certain way. And when you're in Japan, when someone bows, then you bow too, right? It becomes ingrained. It becomes trained. It's socialization. It's just part of being in the society, and it becomes like second nature. You don't even know you're doing it anymore because it's so deeply ingrained. So just like that guy had his brain trained to believe that fake hand was his real hand, you can do the same thing to human beings with like institutions. You can train human beings to feel stimulus as if the institution were part of their body. How do I know? Just watch people on their sports teams, dude. People have like physical sensations associated with the performance of a sports team. It's incredible. There's no actual connection there. There's nothing real there, but they get like ill or incredibly elated to the point of rioting because of a connection that's not actually there, but it's groomed. It's groomed. That association is groomed, and it's socialized into people. So many aspects of society are the same way, and white supremacy is no different. White people are literally socialized into white supremacy so that attacks upon white supremacy feel like attacks upon them, literally, But it's not. It's not. That hand is fake. You've been trained to feel like attacks on white supremacy are attacks on you when they never were. They never are. They never are. They never are. White people are fine, dudes. You're fine. All you gotta do is put down the white supremacy. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. That's it. That's it. And how do you put down the white supremacy? Well, one way is to not belong to the white supremacist party, which is the Republican Party. How do I know they're the white supremacist party? I just showed you multiple examples of them being the white supremacist party, the reincarnation of the Confederacy. If you have any questions, ask. I'll tell you. So all you got to do is not be a white supremacist. You know, white people are fine, dude. It's not being white. It's being a white supremacist. Like, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're a white supremacist, you're terrible. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're a proponent of multiracial democracy, then you're cool. It's the institution. White people have been conditioned into feeling a direct connection to the institution of white supremacy. And they have to break it. No one can break it for them. They have to break it. When I say the matrix, the illusion, the red pill, that's what I'm talking about. Take the red pill. Learn that you are not associated with white supremacy. That attacks upon white supremacy are not attacks upon you. That you are independent of white supremacy. That you are an independent agent and you can choose your associations. You can choose your associations. You can choose which ideas you want to reproduce. You are free to do that. People in Russia are not free to do that. People in Russia are not free to express themselves how they want. They are repressed by the state. People in white supremacy are not free to express who they are. They have to be agents of white supremacy. But people who are proponents of multiracial democracy are generally people who are proponents of freedom, of the freedom of people to be who they are. And generally, those people who are proponents of letting people be who they are able to see more colors than people who are not, like fascists. Fascists can't see shit. All right, so I hope that gives you an idea of another facet of my show. I'm trying to decouple white people from their association with white supremacy. Trying them to get them, because the only white supremacy is an institution, it's a thing, but the only way it comes into our world is through humans. Humans are a portal. Humans are portals. Humans are portals through which the idea of white supremacy becomes manifest into the material world where we all live together. But humans have the power, humans who are awake, humans who are woke, humans who have who know what's going on, have the capacity to control what comes through their portal. Sure, inside are all sorts of bad things that want to use your body to come through into the material world. But you, as a free human, have the ability to block and say, no, you can't come through. No, you can't come through. No, you can't come through. You? Yeah, dude, you come through. And then when you come through the portal, you make it. You physically use your body to do a ritual, to do a dance, to manifest the idea. And make real the idea of what you want. All humans have this capacity, but you have to be aware. People who are under the control of white supremacy are asleep. They don't have that. They are not aware that they are able to control their bodies and control what comes through them. They are under the illusion that they must do the bidding of white supremacy. They must only allow white supremacy to flow through them. And that what they see outside of them, not white supremacy, they must destroy it and make it into white supremacy. They must learn to be free, to free their minds. and to free their association with white supremacy. White people are not associated with white supremacy. There's no physical connection of white people to white supremacy. It's not really there. It's not really there. You can break it. Like when they hit the hand, so when they hit the hammer on the fake hand, you're not gonna feel pain because it's not you. So if it's not you, you don't have to act in ways that serve the thing that it is. And what is it? It's evil. It's the Atlanta police charging terrorism to people that they shot and murdered. That's what it's white supremacy. So you have to free your mind to stop white supremacy, to stop the Confederacy. Okay, America. Until next time. Pogo Kiddo out. Peace. Stop.